Good afternoon. Today's video we have another bonsai workshop. I have a Fukien Tea Grove or grouping, however you want to call it. I had a few of these kind of saplings that weren't doing well by themselves, so I decided to put them in one pot maybe about 2 months ago, and 2 to 3 months ago, and they have been doing very well. So I took the group to the workshop today to get them wired and styled and see how we can get the new structure and design. Also, one of the members, he's very knowledgeable. His name is Doug, and he was explaining kind of the structure of a tree to someone that was new to the workshops and coming, and so I thought it'd be good to share that information he's sharing with them in this video as well. So I hope you enjoy. As we begin to wire the tree, I take a piece of wire and see if it's going to be strong enough to bend the tree. And to do that, you will take about 1.5 inches from the end of the wire and you'll press it against the tree, and if the tree bends before the wire starts to bend, then that wire is strong enough. And so the third time, I'm able to find a piece of wire that is able to bend the tree how I need it to. As I begin to wire the tree, I stick the wire down into the pot to be able to stabilize the tree, and then begin wrapping the wire around the tree at a 45-degree angle. And once I have it wrapped to the top, then I'm able to bend the tree in the desired shape that I would like it to be in. Here I noticed that a lot of the trees are moving around, and because of my ignorance, when I put the tree into this pot, I did not put any chopsticks in when I wired the trees down, which would help stabilize them and keep them from moving in the pot. And so I'm adding chopsticks to the top of the soil here to then be able to wire down and to secure the trees better in the pot.
Break it down into 3 things we're going to use to drive our decision and
Actually,
kind
like
of
the curve to the right more than looking at it to the
Right.
left for some reason.
right. So the three things I'm going to suggest is absolutely what you want is what is the trunk line, what branching, but maybe the very first thing we start off with is the view of the trunk. So look at the trunk is the first thing all by itself. What orientation provides, and I'm talking about down here.
Oh, okay.
The trunk and the roots.
Okay.
And sometimes, although I think we can see this, but sometimes we'll pull this away because we want to see
Exposed the root crown.
just enough to say what is the most interesting view, because to look like an old tree, the buttress that looks like the buttress of an old tree can do more than anything else to make this look like an old tree, much older than it is. So this tree, let's say it was 10, 15 years old, we want it to look like 80 or 100 years old. In miniature. What I mean? So let's just do some simple math. Let's just say it's 2 foot tall tree.
Okay.
And it's an inch diameter. Okay, let's say if this were out in nature, let's say it's a 50-foot tree. If we're going to imitate a 50-foot tree, or even, we'll make it smaller, or let's make it even more, 40 foot. Okay, this is if we kept it 2 feet tall, it'd be 20 times that. So this 1 inch trunk is going to be a 20 inch trunk.
Okay.
Right? So immediately this 15-year-old tree looks like a 40 or 50-year-old tree. Okay, let's say if we were going to make it we were going to make this the top of the tree, and it was going to be 1.5 foot tall. And we wanted to imitate a 45-foot tree. It'd be 30 times. And so this 1 inch trunk is 30 inches wide. All of a sudden it looks like a 150-year-old maple tree. I'm just saying some simple arithmetic between the thickness of the trunk and the height of the tree and what a mature tree might look like. We can kind of compute in our mind, here's how big the trunk is.
Yeah.
So if we do it here, the trunk's an inch. If we do it over here, you know, if you look at it here, it's not quite as interesting. Here it gets a little bit bigger spread. Here is probably the least interesting. You know, view of the trunk. That's not an interesting view. So here, what you picked.
You actually have some roots
That's
coming
right.
off too.
What you picked, it was interesting when you picked that, just looking at the first criteria, the most interesting view. And the trunk comes out at an angle. If you look at it here, dead straight.
Okay.
If this were the front of your tree,
Yeah.
from this view, it's straight.
Right. Yeah.
So when selecting the orientation you want your viewers, for yourself first and for your viewers, start with the trunk.
Okay.
Now, it may be that this is the best one, but you say, I just can't make it work up here, and then you say, okay, can I make compromise and not lose it completely?
Maybe shift it.
Maybe you shift it, because if I do that, criteria number 2 is the trunk movement is improved, and I say I'll compromise between the two. So I would say this starts first, and then let's look at the trunk movement, and then look at the branching third.
Okay.
But you can see right here, immediately you say, oh, most interesting trunk right here. So can I work on that? So the interesting thing about the shape of this tree, a lot of times things move up. This is an informal upright. It's not dead straight. But it gets, if it's an informal upright, the crown of the tree is oriented above the root base. Is what we call an inshore upright. Now, right now, currently the crown of the tree is over here. Which may be all right, or we may say feels a little bit uncomfortable that it's coming up here and then it ends up over here. But anyway, the crown of the tree currently is off to the side.
Okay.
Not good or bad, just saying that's what it is. And in fact, in the end, it's not unusual that we like the crown of the tree to come to us a little bit rather than away. So forget the bottom of the tree. If you look at it from this way, the tree's going away from you.
Okay.
If you go out there and stand under a tree over here, any of these trees, the side we're looking at, the tree comes over our head. If we look up near these trees, and you want this. The ideal viewing spot is about halfway here. Your eyesight's here, and you're kind of looking up. And now look at it again. Look at the top of the tree. Now look at the whole thing. Here it's kind of coming at you, kind of engaging you. And if you went out in your yard and you looked at a tree, it would, the side you're looking at is coming to you. So it's a little bit more interesting when it's coming to you than when it's going away.
Right.
You agree?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Movement and where does it end up, and do I like where it ends up?
Okay.
So a little bit here, we like this as the front, it comes here, but then it kind of gets here and it starts going away from me.
Okay.
Potentially going away from me, but then it does have some stuff here that kind of comes back to me. So potentially I could have an apex up here, just not dead center over the bottom. But it's kind of to be just being aware, am I doing one that ends up here or ends up over here?